I would say typically 3 times a week, I want you to add cardio on top of your normal workout routines. Hey guys, Mark McKill here with Live Anabolic, and today I want to talk about how to get beach ready after the age of 50. And man, how I yearn for the good old days. It used to be so much easier to go to the beach. Remember when you had spring break in high school and college? And if you wanted to look a little bit better than normal, man, what did you start? 2 weeks ahead of time? You start exercising and cut out some of the crap you were eating and cut back on all the beer you were drinking. Golly, and in 2 weeks, man, you looked a lot better. Well, it doesn't work like that anymore. We have to plan further in advance to get that beach body that we really want. And so when I say further in advance, we need to set our expectations realistically. And that is, how much fat can you lose per week? That's a good way to think about it. And so most people don't think about it that way. They just say, hey, I think I'd love to lose 20 pounds and, vacation's coming up, in 3 weeks, let's get to it. Well, losing 20 pounds in 3 weeks is extremely difficult. You'd have to get radical. So I want you guys to plan 2-3 months ahead of time. And then the math that I'm coming up with is based on losing 1 to 2 pounds of fat per week. All right. So that's only between 4 and 8 pounds per month. And that's the way you need to think about it, guys. Matter of fact, these serious bodybuilders, you see these young guys, I'm not talking about the pro level guys that just look, like idiots. I'm talking about the guys that are jacked, that like to compete, and they're in their 20s or early 30s. Those guys will bulk up over the winter. When I say bulk up, they'll just eat a whole lot more calories, and they won't worry about the quality quite as much. All they care about is getting protein. And as they get bigger, they get a little, they add fat and softness, but they also are building muscle under that fat. And then to get ready for the contests coming up in the spring and the summer, they start their cut, all right? And they typically start 3 months in advance of a contest. So that should give you guys a rough idea of what's a reasonable expectation as far as dropping body fat. Okay, so let's just start off with the first of 3 tips, and that is, guys, this is the least fun, okay? It's the least fun for me, and guys just don't like it typically either, and that is cardio, all right? So a lot of videos on this channel, you'll see me talking about, don't do long, boring cardio sessions. Well, I still maintain that, all right? But I want you to add some cardio. So I would say typically 3 times a week, I want you to add cardio on top of your normal workout routines. And when I say add cardio, I'm talking about 10 to 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes max of cardio. And that is different from the long, boring cardio that you often hear me disparage and say to avoid. The long, boring cardio is the type of stuff where people go out and run 5, 6, 7 miles. All right, that takes a long time, and that is boring. You do that on a consistent basis, and it can create a lot of stress on your body. And that stress creates a hormone called cortisol, which hurts your testosterone production, and on and on and on. So the cardio I'm talking about is much, much shorter than that. All right, so 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes, just depending on your time schedule. And guys, I prefer to do sprint type cardio. Another way of calling that is a HIIT workout, high intensity interval training. And so that can consist of anything. I mean, you can actually be doing sprints. I like to call them yo-yos, where you're sprinting back and forth, in your yard. You don't have to have a 100-yard, set of grass to run on. It can be fairly short, and you're just going back and forth real quick, 5, 6 times, and then you stop and catch your breath. Jumping jacks, butt kicks, burpees, stationary bike, a rowing machine, jump rope, just about anything, all right? You can create your own high intensity interval training type cardio workout, guys. And the nice thing about it is you don't have to do, an hour and a half of cardio. that would be required if you were going to go out and run 5-6 miles, okay? So this is more sprint mentality, or it doesn't have to be crazy. You might want to do steady state cardio, which would be equivalent to jogging, but just keep it shorter, 10 to 20 minutes, okay? And the reason you don't have to do, long stuff is because you're doing it in addition to your existing workouts. So basically all we're doing is getting your heart rate up. You're burning more calories, okay, because you're adding cardio to your daily workout that you would otherwise not do, all right? And so if you're keeping your caloric intake consistent, but you're burning more calories because you've added some cardio, that will slowly start to whittle away the fat. All right, so a lot of you guys don't want to have to come up with your own little cardio routine. I get it. The nice thing about our YouTube channel right here is we have tons of fantastic cardio ideas for you. So just type in cardio or HIIT in the little search bar right here in our own, little YouTube channel, and you're going to get probably 24 different cardio / HIIT workout ideas, and you can just pick from some of the stuff that Gary and I've put on this YouTube channel. So that's a great resource for you, especially since you're already here on our YouTube channel. All right, the second tip is the easiest. All right, I love easy tips, guys, and it's easy because it requires absolutely no effort, and that is just try a supplement. Okay, you've heard me say this before when I talk about supplements. I think everybody's different. I think supplements work for a lot of guys, but they definitely just don't work for some men. All right, and some of that is just genetic, and some of that is nutritional. So if you have genetics that just don't respond to supplements, it ain't gonna work for you. And it's just hard to predict or impossible to predict. Also, if you're already eating incredibly healthy and getting all the nutrients that you need, in your daily diet, then a lot of times supplements aren't going to add much to it. But we have a fat burner, all right? It's called Anabolic Shred. And this is the easiest of all of our supplements to take because you don't even need to take it every day. You only take one of these pills before you have a meal, and you only take it before a medium to high carbohydrate meal. All right, so if you're eating breakfast in the morning and you're having eggs and bacon, all right, well, that's all protein and fat and almost no carbs, so you wouldn't even take it before that meal. But if you're having a meal that's got a fair amount of carbohydrates in it, that's when you take it. All right, it just helps your body metabolize and use carbohydrates as a source of energy. Okay. And so I really urge you to click on the link below this video because our website talks about all the ingredients that's in the supplement and why we put them in there. And I can't even remember, I don't even attempt to remember because we have so many different supplements with tons of different ingredients. I have to cheat myself and go to our website to see what's in it. But the thing is, guys, it doesn't matter. You gotta try it, otherwise you'll never know. And if it doesn't work for you, who cares? We will send your money back. I mean, that's how good our guarantee is. Nobody else in the fitness industry even comes close, guys. Everybody else is going to make you send back the unused portion of the bottle, and nobody wants to go through the trouble of going down and getting a little box and taking it to the UPS store and shipping it. All you got to do is send us an email. I mean, nobody, and we give you a full year, okay? So it's basically a risk-free way to just try the supplement and see if it helps you lose fat to get ready for that beach. All right, tip number 3, guys, is I think probably the hardest of the 3 to follow through on, and that is, and this is nutrition related, and that is cut back on your carb intake. And the reason that's hard is because carbs are just in everything, and especially in this modern society we live in with all just the way foods are made and packaged. It just seems that so much of what we just naturally eat is just really, really high in carbs, okay? And so that makes it harder to cut back on your carbs. So there's a couple ways to do this. You can do intermittent fasting, and this video is not about intermittent fasting, but you need to do a little research on it. You can use this YouTube channel to look at some of the videos that Gary and I have made about intermittent fasting. That's one way to help kind of get back, cut back on the carbs. But there's also a completely different method called carb cycling, where you have some days where you have a normal amount of carbs in your daily diet. Some days are low carb days. Some days are high carb days. and you have more normal and low carb days, and typically you only have one high carb day per week. And so this is harder to do because you have to really pay attention to everything you're eating throughout the day, and you have to know in advance, what foods have got a lot of carbs in them and what don't. So you gotta know what to avoid, what to eat, and then of course your body, it does crave carbs. All right, so that's why it's hard. All right, so if you're eating, really high protein and a modest amount of fat, and you're eating lots of it, your body will still feel hungry a lot of times. Okay, that's because you're not getting as many carbs as your body wants. But if you can endure that hunger and just get used to it, all right, your body, you will start to drop fat. That is how all the bodybuilders get ready for their big contests. So, I told you they get heavy in the winter, they put on a lot of muscle, but they also have a lot of fat covering that muscle. Well, the primary way that they drop that body fat and get ready for these contests is they radically cut back on their carb intake. And especially they cut back on their processed carbs. So if they are eating carbs, it's healthy carbs like rice and broccoli and cauliflower and other types of vegetables. That's really tough, guys. I get it. And so you're gonna have to keep track of what you eat, and you have to understand what are the good carbs, what are the bad carbs, what foods don't have high amounts of carbs, and what foods are just kind of loaded with kind of hidden secret carbs. And there's just a lot to that. But if you want to educate yourself, we got a lot of videos right here on this YouTube channel. All right, I've shot tons of videos on how to meal prep, how to shop at the grocery store, and I discuss in those videos what foods have got high carbs and which ones are low and which ones have got the good carbs. So, just use the search feature right here in our YouTube channel, and you can find tons of information that Gary and I have put on here that will really help you in your quest to get beach ready after the age of 50. All right, so in closing today, I always say stick with it, never give up on yourself. But when it comes to losing body fat and having a goal like a vacation to the beach, or for that matter to the lake or even your backyard swimming pool, it's one of those deals where you really, really do have to stick with it and be consistent. Otherwise, you're just not going to see the results you want. So, I'm going to say it again. Stick with it and don't give up on yourself, because if you don't, you'll be looking good for the beach.